Hey guys, this is Jay from DIY Fish Keepers. I wanted to show you guys the new build that I've done. Obviously it's a coffee machine built into a beta tank, and as you can see, it's running okay right now. Anyway, I originally wanted to do a video with all the components taken out and all that stuff, but unfortunately I don't necessarily have all the time to do that right now. But I definitely wanted to let you guys know how it runs and how functional it is and all that stuff. So basically, what I basically had to do was take apart the entire thing. Obviously take out the heater that was inside, all the electronic stuff. The only thing that I did leave was the switch over here, as you can see, and what that does is operates the lights. So I figured, you know, the filtration's always going to be running. Obviously the heater is always going to be running. Lights is the only thing that I can turn off and on, so that's what I decided to go with. And the light that I have is actually one of those things right there. It's a flameless candle, battery run, and it actually does really cool things, like it changes colors and whatnot, and it actually puts out a decent light, to be honest. At least enough for the coffee pot, that's for sure. This is what one looks like. You know, it's not anything special. Like I said, it is battery powered or whatever, so I definitely had to figure out a way to where I'd hook up, you know, a phone charger or something like that, so that way I could lower the wattage going into it, just so that way, you know, whenever I flipped on the switch to the coffee pot, that way the bulb didn't, you know, bust like right then and there. So I got a phone charger and decided that, well, I checked the specifications on it, and it definitely did the trick, and it hasn't blown the bulb, it hasn't done anything like that. So what I did was I hooked up the charger to it. Obviously, well, the charger did not fit in the base of this. So I had to take apart the charger. All the electronics inside the actual plug itself is still there, but I had to basically hardwire it through, so I had to take like the casing of it off and all that stuff. But it works great. After everything was taken out of the build here, or the, you know, when I decided to demo the whole thing, like I said, I took out the heater and all that stuff, and there was only 2 leads left. Well, a third being the ground, but that was already wired in. So basically, it's really simple. It takes about a second to pop on because it is running through a charger, but I mean, once you got it on, the light still works there, and there you go. It works perfectly fine for this tank. It actually really looks good in dim light, but it does the trick. You know, it shines through the marbles pretty good, and kind of lights up this whole entire thing, especially considering it's white. You know, it kind of just makes it pop a little bit better. But yeah, I definitely thought that the light idea was actually a pretty cool idea. But you know, I could have easily put LEDs or something like that, but I really thought that that was kind of overkill, considering, I mean, you can see how bright this light is. You can obviously see the fish, you know what I mean? It's fine, you know. So the other components to this would be the filter, of course. Had to rip out some of the plumbing. You could see some of the little holes in the very bottom of it. Sorry for the water being a little murky. I just changed the filter media. which is this stuff over here. This is all this is it's that ammonia, packet that you would get, from one of the aqua clear filters. I just cut open the bag and stuffed it in there. At the very bottom of this tube, which is the filter here, there's a sponge right here, and then there's the media, and then there's another sponge. I originally wanted to go ahead and put a cotton ball or something like that down there, but it was actually really restrictive as far as the flow, so I decided to opt out of it and just go ahead and put another sponge. It was a little bit more porous and all that stuff. All the tubing that is going in between where the motor is and all this stuff is just a basic straw. You would go ahead and get it like Chuck E. Cheese or something like that. It's just one of those stupid things. But it hooks up to the bottom of this thing. Obviously you see the line going up, and then it hooks up into the impeller and the motor. Now the impeller and motor is actually from a top fin 10. Basically, I just hacked off some of the plumbing pieces off of it or whatever, and decided to hook it all up. This little white thing is actually one of these things here, and basically all it does is it creates a better suction. I found, through trial and error, I found out that it was a better suction if I had it on there. So that way, because I mean there's a lot of tubing and a lot of things for this to go through. So obviously how this actually works is kind of cool, but it's the only thing that I really found out that worked. I originally wanted to use those little holes down there and try to make it just like how a coffee pot would be run, but it just didn't work out that way. So what I decided to go with was, obviously this creates the suction and it takes it from here. Now the filter media, like I said, the sponge and then that and then all that stuff, it sucks it all right through there. It's being fed by this. This is actually a tea, an airline tea I showed you guys in the other video. This allows me to, while the pump is actually starting, it allows me to prime it, so that way I can actually stick anything, like another syringe, which I have somewhere. Here we go. Another 60 ml syringe. I just stick it to the tubing there. So as it's starting up or whatever, obviously this being the highest point right here, it's going to have a lot of air right there and all that stuff, and that's really restrictive as far as the flow is concerned. So what I decided to go ahead and do is just add this little piece into it. So this is actually, it's really a 90, but it's, in certain cases it acts like a T. So and this is obviously the clamp, so that way once it is primed I can just clamp it off, disconnect the syringe and be done with it. This leads down into the pipe. Obviously I had to cut the filter basket, and that's basically where it goes all the way down through. I had to cut through here, and then there was another lip right up in here where the filter basket actually lays into, so I had to cut through there and then through here as well. But as you can see, it goes all the way down into it, and it does a pretty good job. And let's see, so as you can tell, it does run like a normal coffee pot would, and it does a pretty good job of it. From there, like I said, this tray or whatever, I had to remove the spring and all that crap that was right here just to keep it open all the time, so that way I knew that there wouldn't be a problem, because that's a pretty low cut right here, and I didn't want any water overflowing into the back of this thing, because for the most part it leans forward, so it all stays up right up in here. So yeah, I definitely didn't want any water trying to go back that way, because then next thing you know you have a table full of water and all that that stuff, and it's a huge pain in the butt. But with the water being sucked up through, down into the filter, all the way back up into here, obviously it creates more water in this section, and eventually it's going to flow out or cause a big pain for you. So what I decided to do was go ahead and pop a little hole and stick a piece of tubing down through and stick it into the tray, and that's how it trickles back down through, just like a normal coffee pot does. As you can see, it runs very well, no problems to it. So as the pump is actually running, whatever it sucks up, it also pushes out just by gravity, and it does the trick so far, and I don't foresee it being a problem from here on out. So we've covered lights, we've covered the filter, some of the demolition that went on with the build here. The only other part that we've got, this is a Zoomed Beta heater. It's really cheap. It's not exactly the most efficient thing, and I wouldn't necessarily put it in a beta tank necessarily, like a bowl, but it works for this purpose because there's a tank and then there's the reservoir. It heats up in the reservoir, so we just pop that in, and back here is going to be a lot warmer than this is. So you know, it's so slow in draining down like a coffee pot would, that there's going to be a lot of heat transfer. So once it gets down actually into the tank, because those heaters tend to overheat, and they could potentially fry your fish. But being inside the reservoir and dripping down into the tank, it actually keeps this at a very comfortable level. I want to say it's like somewhere around 79, I think, if I took it right. But yeah, it does the trick for him, and he seems to like it. No problems with him. He is actually, his name is Chuckles, and he's a rescue. A neighbor of mine had him for a while, and she just wasn't taking very good care of him, so I decided to take the fish off of her hands, and hopefully we can get him a little bit healthier and get his fins going, because they're kind of on the short side a little bit. But he's got the potential to be a very pretty fish, so hopefully this will do it for him. But anyway, that is my that's my tank. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously this goes back on top of there, but I'm not going to snap it in place just yet. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it's a cool little display piece. It's definitely gonna raise some questions, when new people walk into your door and all that stuff. But it's actually very easy to make, like I showed you. It just takes a little bit of time. I figured out, from the time that I actually wanted to make it, it took me about a week to go ahead and complete, but it's probably about 24 hours total, and even that is probably overdoing it because of the fact that I kept on changing the design for the pump and all that stuff. But this is the finished product, and hopefully you guys think it's cool. For more fish related, aquatic designs and things, ponds and aquascaping and all that stuff, you should definitely check out DIYfishkeepers.com, and obviously check out Joey on on YouTube. And I don't know, you should definitely check it out. It's definitely a very cool place to go to. So anyway, this is the tank, and that's it. Later.